Welcome to Message Reveal. Message Reveal identifies a vibe, a message, or a story told through lyrics of a song. Well, before we get started, you guys know what I do. If you've been hanging out with me, I always give you a few things, and I only mean a few things that our person is associated with. So before I tell you who this person is, she is the director of Oral History Research Center. She's also an author. And last, and remember I said definitely not least, because we would be here an hour and a half with all her accomplishments. But the last thing she is also, she serves on the board of Board of Women of Diversity. So you guys, please put your hands together and welcome Miss Claytee. Welcome, beautiful lady.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you are welcome. You're welcome. First, I just want to say thank you for saying yes to me. I so appreciate that. And I want the world to know how much I appreciate you for saying yes.
Okay.
So before we get started, I always ask my guests this one particular question. What makes you tick? What makes you bored? What gets you up out of the bed every day?
The excitement of another day. It is so impressive to me that this morning I thought I was going to sleep in, and I started thinking about what I had to do today. And before I knew it, I was up on my feet, excited about this day. And that's how I get up in the morning.
I love that. I love that. You are already, whatever you have prepared for you, get you up and get you ready.
That's correct.
I love that. Well, we're gonna jump around a little, and I'm going to go to the middle thing that I introduced you about.
Okay.
And I mentioned that you were an author. Can you please tell me what was the impetus for you to become an author and what pushed you to, because we all say we want to do something, but actually putting it into action is a different thing. Can you give me some insight on that?
So I found a topic that fueled my passion. And because of that, I started doing research and I started talking to people and asking questions. And because it just piqued my interest more than I ever expected it to, I began to write some articles. I said, oh, I bet this is something that no one knows about. Let me just write a short 500-word article about this. And that's how it got started.
Wow. So someone right now is tuning in, somebody is watching and they want to begin that path. How would you encourage them? What would you say would be just the first step you would encourage them to do in order to get where you are?
So the first thing that I think a person should do if they seriously want to write, I think they should write. I think the first thing they should start doing is journaling. Just writing. No particular goal. Just start writing and then take a little class. Don't take something that's overwhelming, 2 or 3 semesters long. Go to a continuing education program or go to an OLLI class. Go to some place in 1 semester. You can really get some grounding in what you want to do. Someone who's going to tell you about grammar, just those things that we forget about sometimes. We haven't been in a classroom in a long time. Just do that. Don't make it something hard. Don't tell a lot of people. Don't tell people, just do it. Just do it. And later on, start sharing it. But don't tell a lot of people. People will take away your dream. And don't let anyone take away your dream.
Oh, I know that is absolute wisdom. I know that is the truth. Sometimes you have to move in silence until you get to a certain point, and then you can show because you want to have that support. But that right there, what you said, oh, honey, that is definitely wisdom, because you're right. People will say, well, are you sure you can do that? Do you
Yes.
have the time to do that?
Mhm.
You're this age. Why are you doing that? And
Exactly.
they may not mean it intentionally, but they begin to chisel away at the dream if you're not careful.
That's correct.
So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for encouraging someone that wants to go down that path. So we're going to get into this area that I absolutely love. I'm in love with music. Music has turned me all the way out in a good way.
Okay, good. This is great.
So I always ask my guests if they can identify a song that has either blessed them, distracted them, or given them perspective. But before you answer, there's some rules to this.
Okay.
If you can sing, I need you to sing your throat box out. Look at your face like, wait a minute. But it's if you can rap, I need you to come hard in the paint. But if you cannot do either one, I need you to say what you mean boldly with passion and give your perspective. And you can do it just with your words. So I'll go back to my original question. Can you identify a song that has blessed you, given you perspective, or distracted you?
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmony of liberty. That's my song. It gives me all kinds of perspective. It allows me to think about the good. It allows me to think about the pain. But it brings, it can suck the air out of the room, or it can bring all the freshness into a room. It is the most powerful song. And when they did it at the Super Bowl the other day, I was on my feet. I was on my feet.
Awesome. You know what? You are the absolute first one to select that song.
Oh,
So you get the first woo woo for that one. Oh my gosh, that's can you do you happen to know who the um author of the song?
it uh, is it Langston Hughes, or is it it's one of the poets during the Harlem Renaissance. And I don't want to give credit to the incorrect person, so I will find it, I will think of it before we leave here today.
Okay, and if not, we everybody has the ability to do research. The
Yes,
mere fact that you gave it to us is what we're super happy about.
yes.
So let's talk another song. And I know that you are a woman, you're about your business, you move in so many different places. Sometimes you're silent, sometimes you're very vocal. Sometimes and next thing you know, I see, I'm like, oh, hey, Miss Claytee. I just never know where you will or will not be. And I love that about you. And I'm saying all of that to say, sometimes we have spaces where we are down and we have no one around to pick us up, meaning we don't have our friends, we don't have our family. We have to pick our own spirit up. Can you identify a song when your spirit is low and no one is around that you can put this song on and it just lifts and pick your spirit up?
So I go to Songs in the Key of Life. That is the
Ooh,
album by Stevie Wonder. I can pick almost any song on that album and it can pick me up, because I mean, some songs are so simple on that album, but each one is so meaningful and so powerful. So the one that I thought about for this question is Love's in the Need of Love Today.
ooh.
So now I didn't know why he wrote that song, but when I started thinking about it, Stevie Wonder had in mind that for love to be effective, it has to be fed. I didn't know that. It has to be fed, and all of us need to feed that love for the whole world. And so when I think about that and think about what he meant when he wrote these lyrics, it's just so powerful.
Woo! That's I have to clap that up. I think you need to say that again and say it slowly for the ones in the back pew and the
Okay.
ones in up high. Talking about love needs to be fed.
Yes.
I love that.
So his lyrics say, "Love's in need of love today. Don't delay. Send yours in right away." And that's what he was talking about. We need to send love out every day. And that's the only way we're going to feed the world.
Yes.
And love is needed so much. And those lyrics that he wrote, they're so meaningful today. That
Yeah.
whole album is still meaningful today.
Because it's timeless work. And if I can piggyback off of what you said, like when we give out love, truly in return is coming back to us because we're a mirror, a reflection of who we are. So every time I see you and you embrace me and you encourage me, I feel like that also goes back to you and embrace you and encourage you.
That's exactly what he meant. We
Yes.
need to feed it. Love needs to be fed.
Ooh, ooh. All right, Miss Claytee, we don't have to have you on for a second season, girl. You are doing it. Oh my gosh, I love that. So let's talk about something that really has set you in here in Las Vegas, has really put you on the front line of us. And I say us, Black people, African American, however you want to identify, but it really has turned a new tide in Las Vegas, and our history cannot be erased because of what you're doing. So at the very beginning, I mentioned that you are the director of the Oral History Research Center at UNLV. And I want you to just take us down the road. One, how this actually became about, I know, but we want to tell our audience. And some of the projects that you've worked on and some of the processes to get there. I hope I didn't give you too much.
No, I would love to share that kind of story. So I didn't plan this. This is all the hand of the Almighty. I had nothing to do with this. I decided to go back to school in midlife. Well, maybe a little bit before midlife because my number keeps going up and up. The number of years I want to live. So I went back to school at a time when 19 and 20-year-old kids were just kids to me, and I'm in the classroom with them. But at that same time, about 6 or 7 other women also enrolled in UNLV at about the same time. Some were working on a bachelor's degree, some a PhD. I was working on a master's, others working on a master's. And the history department decided it was time for them to teach us how to conduct oral histories, because oral histories were just being done. This is in the mid 1990s. They were being done at the oral history program in Reno, UNR. The state funded that program, but they never had enough money. People don't understand how expensive it is to conduct oral histories. So UNR never had enough money, even though it was supposed to be a state program, to collect interviews here in Las Vegas. It means sending somebody here to train and all of that. So the history department said it's time for us to start learning ourselves, collect our own history. And they said, anybody who wants to take the workshops and the seminars, you can do it free of charge. You don't get any credit for it, but you don't pay for anything. And all of us who had enrolled as older students, all of us took all the seminars and all of the workshops. And then when we finished and thought we knew everything, we decided to do an oral history project. All of us were women. No men volunteered to learn this. We decided to do a project called Women in Gaming and Entertainment. Somebody said, okay, I want to do dances and showgirls. One of the other ladies said, I want to do cocktail waitresses. And another one said, I want to do owners and managers of casinos who were female. And another one said, I want to just transcribe all the interviews. And I said, well, what am I going to do? You guys have all the topics. And someone in the group said to me, there is a Black community here. And I said, where is it? And I went to the beauty shop the next Saturday morning because I was having my hair permed at the time. And I said to my beautician, I said, where is the Black community? And she said, the lady getting into the chair next knows all about the Black community here. And it was Jimmy Gay's daughter.
Wow.
And Jimmy Gay's daughter said to me, of course, my parents would be glad to sit for an oral interview with you. My first interview was with Hazel and Jimmy Gay. So that's how I started. It was not a plan. So Hazel and Jimmy Gay introduced me to other people in the community. And of course, as soon as you interview somebody, they'll introduce you to other people. And that's what happened to me. And then when UNLV, several years later, like maybe 4 years later, decided that, yes, we're ready to start an oral history research center right here at UNLV. I was one of the people that they asked to apply as the founding director. That's how it started. So we have done projects in the African American community, Asian American community, with guys who played in orchestras on the Las Vegas Strip, early doctors. We did the Latinx community, the Jewish community. We have just done a whole array of wonderful projects in the 20 years since this research center started.
Wow, that is amazing. And I do want to give you your flowers in front of everybody. I think it was September or October that you had your 20 years of doing this research and giving this oral research to the community. And I tell you what, it was a rainbow coalition of so many different people that were there. And I'm so honored that you asked me to come. It was just beautiful.
I am still just so humbled when I think about that evening and I can look up and see all those people in the theater down at the Beverly. It was just amazing. I was just blown away.
I just love how diverse the group was, and everybody was very respectful of your journey and honored you. And I know you even had some personal family that I met that came from, it was it North Carolina?
No, we are all from North Carolina, but the sister that you met lives in Southern California.
Okay,
So
okay.
my two sisters live on the West Coast with me, and my brothers are all still back on the East Coast.
Well, you know, it sometimes it's like that, but it was just a beautiful night. And I remember the energy, even outside, because we had an outside reception and then we transitioned in. I was like, I felt like it was just flowing and it just was a beautiful night.
It was wonderful.
And I'm just super happy that I had the opportunity to be a part of your special night.
I'm so glad you were there.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, can you point out one of the oral research, or I know you said at the beginning you talked about the gay family, but can you point out two more that really, really stands out to you and just give us a little synopsis of who they are and why they stand out to you?
Okay, so one is going to be the second oral history that I conducted. It was with Lucille Bryant. Lucille is from Tallulah. The Gay family was from Fordyce. Those are the two of the towns during that great migration of Blacks to Las Vegas, where Black people came from. And who knew that my first interview was from one of those two towns and the second interview was from the other? It was like a miracle. It was just unreal. And then once the Oral History Research Center started, I interviewed a gentleman who is a white person who grew up here doing the building of the Hoover Dam. I can't even think of his name at this moment, but his story sticks with me every day. This man, as a small child, 5 years of age, his father owned a small hardware store downtown Las Vegas and decided to open a small one in Boulder City. So every week he would ride across the dam as it was being built so that his father could take transistor radios and irons and just small items like that to the location in Boulder City. And then he told me that later on he joined the military. And when they started testing bombs at the Nevada test site, he was one of the soldiers that served by being put in one of the trenches. So the federal government built trenches, like one trench a mile away from the bomb blast, and another trench 2 miles away from the bomb blast. And they put our military men in those trenches so they could test the radiation. It was heart-wrenching. Those are the kinds of stories we've been able to collect throughout Las Vegas. Our stories are powerful.
Wow, that is, yeah. And if somebody wants to dig deeper and find out more about that particular story or many other stories, that information is available at the UNLV Library Research Center. Am I correct?
That's correct. You just go to the Oral History Research Center, and very soon you will see the transcripts, and you can click on that and you can read as many as you like to read online. Now, not everything has been digitized and put online. I can collect enough interviews in a 6-month period to keep people in the back of the house behind us doing all of this precious work. I can keep them busy for months and months and months. So everything is not available immediately. It takes time to put everything online. But go to our Jewish project, go to our African American project, our Latinx project, and you will see all of these interviews.
I think it's great because we need to know collectively. Las Vegas is made up of so many ecosystems, and everybody plays a part in what we call Viva Las Vegas, or my native place. And I know you've been here for over 30 some years, correct?
Yes, I came here in 1992. So what is that?
92, yes, 31 years.
Okay, so I've been here for 31 years.
Wow.
And I don't plan to leave.
Oh, yay! Well, I'm happy to hear that, because I won't go into detail, but you also sit on a, like I told you guys, she has a plethora of things she does, and she sit on one of my professional committees. I won't mention what it is. So she has never told me no in many, many years. We've done 9 years worth of work. And every time I call her, every year she says yes. So I plan on calling you next year if I'm still a part of that process.
And I plan to say yes next year.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Let's talk just a little bit, 'cause what you're telling us about the oral process is great. But a lot of times people are not aware of the process behind the scenes, how you record it, who you give it to, how they take it and process it, and how long it takes before it's presented to the actual client that gave you the oral research. Can you just give us a little bit of that?
Sure. Some oral interviews have a shorter span than others. It depends upon the amount of help we have here in-house and how efficient the narrator, the person we've interviewed, how efficient they are. So I will interview you on Monday, and on Tuesday, I will send that to my transcriber. Transcriber will transcribe it depending upon how much work she has in front of you. I can get it back within 2 days, 2 weeks, depending upon her schedule. And then I print it out and I send it to the narrator. And I send a letter with it. And they already know this is coming. And I want them to read through it and to correct any obvious mistakes. If they've accidentally said that they moved here in 1973 and it was really 1972, they make that change. If we have spelled someone's name incorrectly, maybe they said their best friend's name back in Tallulah, Louisiana, and we spelled it incorrectly. So they correct that spelling. So those are the kinds of changes that people make. We send it to them in a postage paid envelope so they could send it back to us postage free. And as soon as they do that, if we have someone available that is going to edit those, it goes to the editor. And then from the editor, we print out a pristine copy. And if you have sent us photographs, we will put some photographs throughout that publication. Then we send it to a bindery and we have it bound. We put one copy online for researchers to use, and we give you a bound copy to use, put on your coffee table. And I'll tell you a story. There was a person here at one time that I wanted to interview, and the person turned me down several times. That person went to, I think it was either Alabama or Mississippi, and visited a friend of his and saw their interview on their coffee table and called me from their house and said, I'm ready to be interviewed.
Isn't that something? Oh my gosh.
So the interviews are beautifully bound, and they are just a keepsake for you.
Well, not just to, well, I don't want to say not just a keepsake. That is history for the family. So if the person passes on, this is kind of formatted and they can go to and have it as a reference document about their history. And I say that because a lot of us, including me, we're guilty of not giving that or going to receive that information until someone passed, and we're going through and putting everything in the obituary. What would you suggest right now for us to do to start to gather information from our own family so we can have that for years to come or generations to come?
Okay. And the first thing I want to say is that when we put your interview online, because you sign a form allowing us to do that when we interview you, researchers all around the country and the world will use that for research purposes. So now, if you want to be interviewed, number one is just call us. Call the Oral History Research Center right here at UNLV, 702-895-2222. We have the best number on campus. You can't forget. Call us and tell us that, I've been here since 1975, and I was one of the ones who did this and this and this. And I would love to tell that story and have it recorded and archived at our university. So that's what you can do. But pull out some photographs, pull out some old photographs, start thinking about some of those highlights in your life. Not just highlights, but think about those life-changing moments. Think about the jobs that you've had and what those jobs meant to you, how much money you earned as the first cocktail waitress on the Las Vegas Strip. We want to know all about that. What did the outfit look like that you had to wear? What was working like? How did you interact with your boss? Were you a member of the culinary union? What was that membership like? What did it mean to you? So we're going to ask you all about that. But we start by talking about your early life. So I want you to give some thought to that early life in Fordyce and how you came here. Did you come by bus? Did you come by car? A lot of people came by car. So we want to know all of that rich history.
I love that. I think that's a great way for people that nobody really knows about that have done some really great things, but they've been silent about. So this is a great way. People pay attention. She gave you the number, she gave you some basic information, but let's spin it just a little bit. What if we want to do it inside our own homes and we want to gather information for our own personal family, for our aunts or our grandparents or some great uncles? What do you suggest the first step to go about?
Call me so I can train you.
Oh, okay.
And I will train you. Maybe there are two people in the family that want to collect all the interviews. I will train the two of you how to conduct the interviews.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm going to have to tap into this.
If you have an organization, let's say that you're a member of La Femme Dues, you're a member of one of the sororities or fraternities, and for one of your projects, you want to interview all of your older members. We will train some of the younger members to conduct the interviews. You can keep a copy, you can share a copy with UNLV.
Nice. Wow. This is great. I didn't even know these opportunities exist.
Because there are only two of us here in the Oral History Research Center. We hire students for some of the projects, so we can't do everything, and there are a lot of history to be collected. There's just so much history here, rich history. And people will say to me, "Oh, I don't have anything to say." Those are the best interviews.
Really?
Best, the very best. Yes.
Wow, that's awesome. You
Yeah.
know, they probably think, but because of your training, you're able to give them a perspective and bring things out that they didn't even think.
Yeah, because they don't think that talking about their mother's sweet potato pie and how she trained you how to make it is important. And it's very important.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Are there other oral research centers around USA? And where do UNLV rank with this process, or do you know?
We don't rank them. We have centers all over the country at various universities. UNLV is probably one of the newest ones.
Mm,
Oral history got started in 1965 during the Civil Rights Movement. So that's when UNR got an Oral History Research Center, UCLA, Berkeley, Cornell, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, Baylor in Texas. There are many, many. There's a national organization called the Oral History Association, where we go to a conference every year to learn about what other people are doing, what's going on around the world. And you don't have to be a member of a university campus. You can be a community organization learning and doing oral history in your community, and you can become a member of the Oral History Association. We also have a Southwest Oral History Association that meets once a year for a conference. And it just includes some of the states right here in this area. So yes, it's an art and a craft. And there are principles and best practices that we use. And we keep up with what's going on by getting together and discussing this at conferences.
oh, wow. I love that. I feel like today I am definitely the student. I'm learning so much. Okay. Keep teaching me, keep giving me that wisdom.
Okay.
And not just for me,
Mhm.
whoever's tuning in, they really get to say, wow, I didn't know that. And maybe this will fuel them in that direction. So, again, thank you for just sharing those details because, again, we see the upfront, but what goes on behind the scene as well can play a big part because you talked about the editor that goes through and edit that. They
Yes,
may not want to be the one that's doing conducting the verbal research, but
yes,
they may feel better behind the scenes doing the editing.
yes,
And we want it's different parts to play.
that's correct. Yes,
So we're gonna get back into this music.
please, yes.
And this one, can you identify a song that you sung as a child? I mean, you was getting it. dancing to it, and then you become a adult. You go, wait 1 minute. That's not what I thought the song meant.
There are so many of those kinds of songs. I loved the Motown groups. I love those groups. I love that sound, that Motown sound, and some of the groups that came out of Detroit as well. But I love the Temptations. So the Temptations just did a play at the Smith Center a couple of months ago. It was wonderful. It was amazing. So to hear My Girl on the stage at the Smith Center with those wonderful acoustics that they have. So songs like that, My Girl, and the way you do the things you do, it brings back all those childhood memories. It brings back those memories of going out on the weekend and dancing. My mother and father not letting me go out with anybody unless my brothers took me.
Oh,
so my brothers would pick up me and my girlfriends, and they would take us to this place where we would go and dance. And then they would go someplace else. And we would just stay there and dance all evening. And then they would come back and pick us up. So it reminds me of that kind of joy, dancing and just having fun.
yes.
That was my period.
So can you identify one of your favorite artists that when you hear it, you just go, wait, my, stop the press?
Again, that would probably be Stevie Wonder. Only because Stevie Wonder's songs, I mean, I just call to say I love you. I mean, it's such a simple song, but it just has such meaning. And I just love some of the songs. If it's magic from the songs in the Key of Life, I always talk about, oh, that was a magical moment. Or something happened and it was just pure magic. I use that word a lot, and I think about that song. That song is, yeah.
Well, you know what? Let's give Stevie Wonder a clap for what he has done. He, to me, had to be spiritually tapped in, and him giving us visual pictures when we know he could not see. It had to be a spiritual connection for him to be able to express that in such a vivid way that we understand. And I think he's just such an amazing artist.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yes. So let's talk about the last thing when I introduced you. We talked about you serving on the board of Women and Diversity. You are a walking billboard for that. How did you become a part of that? And what is some of the things that you guys do to make sure you support diversity and support women?
So this was probably the first organization around that actually used that terminology. So it started back in, I don't even know. I wish I would have done my research so I could talk more intelligently about it. But what Women of Diversity did here in Nevada and still doing is collected interviews of women from all over the state. So a video of women in Ely, of women in Reno, Elko. So they have done that kind of research so that we know what women have done all over the state of Nevada, not just here in Las Vegas, but just all over the state, and have done a great job. Wonderful displays throughout, exhibits throughout the years. We've done something about the first ladies of Nevada, just a whole array of projects. So go on their website, Women of Diversity, and you will see some of the things that have been done.
I think that's great. I think we need to showcase the work that women has done. A lot of times we've done things behind the scene to push projects, to push narratives to the front, and people are not aware until they give their background of what they've done.
Yeah.
How long have you been a part of this particular board or yeah diversity program?
Okay, probably for the last 8 to 10 years,
Wow.
part of that board.
And how did you become a board member? Was someone they knew what you did and they said, "Okay, Miss Claytee, we want to add you." Or it just happenstance?
Something like that. Someone just invited me to become a part of the board. And let me tell you about the current project. Um, we have a person here in special collections at UNLV. Her name is Soo Kim Chung, PhD, and she thought of a project for women of diversity. And that project is interviewing the women that helped to collect the history of Nevada.
Wow.
So, and she went back as far as she could to the woman, Jean Weir, that helped to start the Historical Society up in Reno. So women like that, that we're not even aware of, if they're not here, we have other people talk about them on a one-on-one. We talk to someone who knew them one-on-one and have that person tell us about what she did, what Jean Weir did. And so there are some other people who passed away, and we'll talk about them as well.
Oh, that's nice. And this is open to the public to research or find out anything about the Nevada women, correct?
So it will be, this is a project that we're just starting now. We've done the first 2 interviews, and we will do other interviews. I think we have about probably a list of about 15 or 17 women who will be highlighted in this project. And yours truly will be one of them.
Oh, yes. Well, you have to keep me in the loop when it comes to you. How do they go about making a selection? Is it just from their body of work, or what's the selection process like?
We have some historians around the state who just know a lot about early Nevada and who did what. And we are using them to help us build a list of women who helped to keep this history, who helped to collect it.
And when you say diverse, do it include women that look like you? Of course, you are one of the ladies, and you look like me. Is it any more women that are Black women that are a part of this collection, or are you the only ones?
That I don't know. I think I think there will be a couple of others because we have a couple of other women who have collected other portions of history, and those will be highlighted.
Awesome,
Yes,
awesome.
yes.
Well, that's true.
We've done some wonderful work here in Nevada.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. And that's true. I think it is so necessary to see and to talk about diversity. Just for me personally, I'm seeing a lot of people that were really a big champion of diversity. Now they're going back and reverting, and they're not wanting to talk about or be a part of it. I don't know if it's just a theme that I'm starting to see. Um, but it's like people are reverting back and they don't want to talk about the diversity of Nevada.
So we have an Asian American woman, if not two. We have Asian American, Native American, Latinx, white women, Black women. So the whole array of women who've collected the history of various communities throughout the state.
Yes, I like that.
Mhm.
I definitely like that.
Mhm.
Well, I have one more question if you would allow me to ask for you.
Mhm.
I love high energy songs. I love crowd participation songs. It just makes me, ooh, I get excited. I truly, truly do. It never gets old. That shows you how much I love music. For example, if you're out and you're having a birthday and you're singing happy birthday and you're like, happy birthday to you. And before you know it, people don't know you. They're tapping
Right.
in, they're singing
Yes.
happy
Yes.
birthday. And
Mhm.
sometimes you exchange numbers and now you're family
Yeah.
because you participated. So,
Mhm.
can you identify a song that has high energy that you either participated in or you stand on the sideline and you saw and you're like, wow, it just gave you that energy to, just move?
So this song that I'm thinking about, and I'm not even sure I know the name anymore, is one of those line dances that women always get up and do at parties because half of the men in the room don't want to dance. So we get up and do a line dance. I love those line dance songs. They don't have any words that mean anything. Half of the time, it's just how to do the steps. But think about the whole party getting to go now just because everybody's up and dancing. And a few guys will get up and also join the line dances. But I love those songs for that reason.
I do too. And you're probably referring to like the Cupid Shuffle or
And the old one that everybody did. Um, wow.
that's okay. But we know when you refer to line dances, that definitely will get everybody up and out and get everybody moving. So I do like that.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing that. Also, thank you for this opportunity to pick your brain, to look at wisdom from your perspective, to share your song selection. And before we get out of here, can you please share with my audience any upcoming projects you have going on, any websites, or any social media handles you would like to share?
Okay, I don't have any social media handles. Uh, if you go to our website, just go to UNLV and go to the Oral History Research Center. And you don't even have to remember anything. Go to Google. Just go to Google and type in the Oral History Research Center at UNLV. And it will take you into that website. And that's what you want. That's where you want to be. And the last song that I'm going to mention is The Wind Beneath My Wings, because it is my anthem. It is the song that means so much to me.
Mhm.
Uh, I am so humbled that so many people have helped me along the way, and they don't know that they are the wind beneath my wing.
I love that. So we just recently in January had King Young and Bubba Knight. It was not planned. And they sung the song Wind Beneath My Wing. And was it just, it was so beautiful. It was so touching.
Yes.
And did you really feel some type of way when they sung the song?
When they did that song, I said to myself, I know they rehearsed this, but it was on the spur of the moment. It was beautiful. It just took my breath away.
Yes, it was beautiful. As Dr. Weekly said, what we're doing commercials on the spot, and that's how well it was done.
Yes,
But
yes,
when you're a professional, you
yes,
can just turn it on and turn it off.
yes,
And they actually did that.
yes.
Thank you for giving us that song. I love that you said so many people help you along the way. It was the wind beneath your wings. So I so appreciate that. But before we get out of here, I always give my little spiel and I talk about the journey and the destination. The journey is where we learn and where we grow, and the destination is where we celebrate. We always have to have a time to celebrate. Too many times we're just going on that journey and we forget about celebrating. It's needed and necessary.
Oh, yes, I love to celebrate.
Yes, yes. But when it's all said and done, we must get back into that journey and continue to learn. So before I get out of here, I always bow to my beautiful women. So I bow to you.
And I bow right back to you.
And before I say goodbye, I always give my guests the last word. Is there any last words you would like to share with my audience?
I just want people to start reading more. I want people to stop listening so much to misinformation that's coming to them over television stations, over social media. I just want you to pick up some good books and start reading.
Wow. You guys, you heard it. And when you read, no one can tell you, oh, it said this in the book. You know for yourself. I thank you so much. I so appreciate you. And you guys, please, please put your hands together and thank my beautiful guest, Miss Claytee. Thank you so very much. And I'll do you like I do some of my friends. I'll see you out here in these Las Vegas streets, or actually this Saturday.
That's correct. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.